Good morning, everyone. So today's video is probably going to be my biggest and most involved project so far. What I'm going to be doing is basically extending the plumbing and the electrical so that we can bring our washer and dryer inside. So typically a lot of places in Hawaii, they have the washer and dryer is in the carport on a lot of places, because a lot of places in Hawaii don't have garages. The ones that do, the washer dryer is in the garage, but still. But what ends up happening is, over time, the years, the washer and dryer just start to rust away because they're exposed to the elements. So
start over.
Thanks, dogs. All right, so I'm gonna hold my phone. So I had it set up on a little tripod, which is a crappy tripod, and the dog bumped the table and it knocked over. Anyway, to continue, so this space that's actually behind me, this corner, is where the washer and dryer is gonna go. I know it doesn't look like a lot of space, but our washer and dryer is a stackable system, so it fits in there just enough room so that we can eventually actually put a cabinet around it as well. So I'll show the space. So this is the area, and this is basically our door that goes out to the back to where the carport is. The washer and dryer are about 29 inches wide, and this space is just about 30, just over 30, right to the windowsill. So that should be enough space to put the washer and dryer, and then have a 1/2 inch, panel that's going to go in here, and then a door eventually. And it's going to basically match what our kitchen cabinets and stuff look like, hopefully, if it's not too expensive, but we'll see. So the first thing I'm going to have to do is I'm going to open up this wall. And this is where all the plumbing is going to go for the hot and cold water line coming in, and then also the drain for the washer. And then I'm going to have to bring in the electrical, because the dryer is 220 or 208. So that electrical outlet is going to end up getting installed, higher up on the wall, because the dryer is going to be stacked on top. And then of course there will be a dryer vent that will go out, and there will be one of the little flapper things that's mounted on the outside of the house. So this is basically where our washer and dryer is right now. Of course, the pump house is right here, which you saw in other videos, but it's sitting here on the concrete, and because this carport leaks, so we get drips that come in right here, we get drips that come in right there, and then the roof line is right here. So if any rain blows in sideways, this whole area can get wet. And that's the reason why we want to move it inside, because these are not super expensive washer and dryer, but they're pretty nice. They're the nicest ones that we've owned. They were still like $500 each or something like that. I forget what we paid for them at Home Depot. So what's going to happen is the plumbing that's behind here, I'm going to tie into it, and we're basically going to run over to this corner of the house. So the inside where I was just showing is basically this corner of the house. That's the wall. So I will bring all the plumbing right here, and then it's going to end up going up the wall right here. So somewhere up here there will be a dryer vent, and then everything else will be inside. All right, so now I'm going to go over the supplies that I have for this project. So according to the latest codes that I could find, washer drains all need to be 2-inch lines now. So all of these fittings are all 2-inch. These are called street tees, I think. So it's basically just a long sweeping tee to tie in. And then these are also long 90s. So it just helps everything flow better. Whereas a smaller 90 would look more like this here on the P-trap. So this is a 2-inch P-trap. So everything on here is all 2-inch. And then this is the washer box. And the drain that's in here is a 2-inch. So the 2-inch pipe goes right into the bottom of that box, which you'll see later. For my hot and cold water lines, there is existing right now under the house. There's a hot and cold water line that come up. I don't know what they were for originally, but they come up to about right here, and then they're capped. And they're 3/4 inch copper lines. So basically I'm going to take those two lines, and then that's what I'm going to extend. And for that, I got this shark bite fitting. So this goes over the 3/4 inch copper, and then the 1/2 inch PEX will fit right into this side. And then of course, this is my PEX that I got. You know, blue for cold water, red for hot water. I don't think that it really matters. You could use any color you want, but I guess if you want to be to code or standards or, you know, whatever it's going to be, that's what you want to use. And then the PEX crimper that I got. So that thing was kind of expensive. I think it was like 60 bucks. But I figure I'm going to be using this down the line, and it's good to, you know, get tools. And then these are the little ends that get crimped onto the PEX. So this also box is made for PEX. So you can see right here it says PEX connection, and you can get these so that they're copper connections, so that you would basically sweat a copper pipe in, or you would do the PEX. Since I was going with PEX, that's what I got. And then it's configurable, you know, however you want to do this. Lots of different ways. So basically I'm probably going to end up doing something like this one here or this one here, but most likely one of these where the two water lines are together and then the drain is either on the left or right. I got to wait and see till I open up the wall. And then up on top of my FJ, I have, you know, all of the 2-inch ABS piping, which is standard stuff for sewage drains. All right guys, so I'm back inside, and what the first step is going to be is to open up this wall behind me here. So I need to expose the wall so I can see where the beams are, so I know where to mount the water inlet drain box, and also where to mount the electrical for the dryer, which will end up being higher. Since it's a stackable washer and dryer, you know, the dryer will be up at this level here, so the outlet will need to be somewhere in this range, and then the inlet and drain box will be below that. And then I also wanted to say that I am not a professional plumber or a professional electrician. So if you see something that I do that is not to code or professional or whatever, that's why. So let's get started. All right, so starting down at the floor, I'm going to remove this trim piece, remove the door stop. This trim piece I'm going to have to cut about in line with the window frame, straight down from the window frame. Remove that. I'm going to remove the cover plate for that outlet, and then I'll be able to start removing the wall. Now I'm going to remove the wall basically all the way down to the floor, and then up as high as I need to be able to reach up in there and drill a hole for the vent line to go through. So it'll probably be about maybe somewhere where the top of the window is, somewhere around there, because I think I have enough space that I'll be able to reach up in there and drill. So I only want to remove as much of the wall as I need to. Hey, you can see my shadow. All right, so this is the progress so far. I got the trim piece removed over on this side. This trim piece I just cut, and all I did on that is I used my utility knife to score it, and then I held the hammer against there and I just snapped it once I got that board loose. Removed and exposed all this, and I will have to relocate this outlet. I'll move it up a little bit because when the plumbing is in here, it's looking like the box is going to be on this side, I believe. I'll have to see, I'll have to look down below the floor because there is one of the main beams for the house somewhere right in here. So I have to make sure that when I drill my drain that I don't hit that beam because I'm not going to be able to go through that. So I will have to check it out a little bit. And basically what's going to happen is this outlet will have to move up. The line will come down. The P-trap will be there. It'll go through the wall, and then the sanitary T will go down, and then the vent pipe will go up, or vice versa, depending on which side I put this in. But I'm guessing that it's going to have to go on this side just because of the space. There's a little more room on this side than over here. All right, so we are outside, and this is the support beam that I was talking about. So what I'm looking for here actually is, you can see the nails, right? So that is the beam that's on the inside of the wall. So my plan to drill the drain on this side, in this bay that goes in between where these nail marks are and the window, that's the smaller bay. So that's where my drain is going to come down at. And then also where the vent will go up into the roof area. And then the P-trap and everything will all be on this side, go through that beam, drop down. So to give you a little bit better of a visual, I'm going to open the box right now, but with the way my layout's going to be, I think I'm going to be doing this setup right here. So, yeah, I got to see where this drops down. But basically what's going to happen here, this outlet box I'm going to relocate and I'm going to move up somewhere in this area. And basically all that is this is an older box, so the nails are actually in the back here. So I just got to pull those nails out, pull this staple, move this up, and then I may or may not actually trim this wire out. Pull the socket out, cut the wires so that there's not a loop of wire in here, just to make it cleaner. And then what's going to happen is this is going to go over here, the P-trap, and the P-trap has to be a minimum of 6 inches from the base and anywhere up to 18 inches. But you want to have a decent drop, you know, for your washer water to go down, because you don't want it to back up if anything ever should get clogged. This is 2-inch line, so it should stay pretty clear most of the time. And then your sanitary T is going to go on this side of the wall. The P-trap will be here. So that's basically, there will be a short piece that I'm going to cut, drill a hole through here, and that's what's going to hold this up. And then from here on the sanitary T, the drain will go down through the floor. I'll have to drill a hole here and then up to the vent up above. So let me open this box. So this is pretty much everything that you get. So you got some mounting brackets here. Looks like there's 4 of those. You have your hot water line, a cold water line. These have the PEX connections. So basically, these have these little caps on them that are interchangeable. So that's how you get your differences. If you can see in here, there's the 3 holes, so you can use any one of these 3 holes. This one's a cap that can go over, if I can get it on there. Anyway, so the cap will go on there if you want to put the cap on. There shouldn't be any reason to once it's hooked up. And then you also have the option to put this the other way. So let's say I wanted to have just the drain down here, and then I wanted to have my hot and cold lines come in from up here. I could do that as well, which might be a possibility because the base down here is pretty tight. When I bring the PEX lines through, I'll have to see how it, I mean, it should be able to go because they're very flexible, but I could also loop it from the top and come down as well too. But that's basically what's in the kit. So this one could be knocked out. if you want to do that way. And then, like I said, this fitting here fits the 2-inch ABS pipe. So it's the same as all these. All right, so next step is going to be moving this outlet. So I'm going to pull it out, move the staple, move the box up to around this area here. And then I'm going to trim the wires. So I turned the circuit breaker off for this outlet so there's no voltage on it, so it is safe. All right, so that's done. It's relocated. If you're not familiar with doing residential electrical wiring, the majority of the wiring is like this, black, white, and then this is an older wire, so the ground is just bare, but some of the newer wiring, the ground is actually green. And if you look on the screws on the outlet, since this is a newer style outlet, typically this is how it is on all of them, but the white wire will go to the silver screw, so that's basically a white screw. Then the ground will go to the green screw, which matches the green wire. That matches the white wire. Then on this side, there will be a brass screw, so it'll be kind of goldish, yellowish looking, and that's where the black wire goes. So it kind of is color matched, but it will help you. But if you're just replacing an outlet, it's pretty easy just to go one for one. Just make sure that the power is off. All right, so my next step is I need to figure out where my hole is going to go through here. And like I said, the P-trap needs to be a minimum of 6 inches, maximum of 18 inches from the ground or from the bottom board here. So if we look at the bottom of the P-trap, and right there is right about 6 inches. So I'm going to go just a little bit up from that, maybe an inch or so. And then I have this here, and I'm basically going to put a mark there. So it's right at, let's say, 12 and a half, 13 inches. So that's where I'll put my mark, and then that's where I'm going to drill my hole. All right, so I got my mark there for the hole that's going to go through the beam, and then connecting to that is going to be this sanitary tee. So I'm going to also mark where this is going to go through the floor, and then also this will eventually go up to the ceiling once I break more of the drywall, and then drill a hole up there for the vent to go through. So I'm going to go ahead and mark this one right now. And it's basically going to be, I don't want it against the wall here, so I'm leaving about an inch there gap. So pretty much right where this white mark is, I'm just going to put a Sharpie mark there. So that'll be where I'm going to drill my 2 holes. And when I drill this hole in the bottom, I'm going to go closer to this edge, actually almost right on the edge, because underneath here there's the beams. The cross beams of the house are doubled up. So I'm probably going to catch the edge of that, and I'll have to cut it out on the bottom so that the pipe can fit through. And then since this one's going to be close to the edge, when I drill this hole, I want it to be close to the front of the beam too, but I'm going to leave a little bit. You could actually not cut the whole thing out, but I'd rather leave just a little bit so some of the strength of the 2x4 stays. Okay guys, good morning. It is actually the next day. We went and did our usual errands that we run on Saturday, and I came back and I realized my 2 1/4 inch hole saw that I had wasn't big enough to cut the hole for this 2-inch ABS. So this morning I had to go and get a 2.5 inch hole saw. So I'm going to go ahead and get these holes drilled now. All right, so I got those 2 holes drilled, and this one, just as I was suspecting, I ran into the beam. So you can see light out there. So I made it through the 2x4 for the wall, framing, the subfloor, and then now I'm into the beams that are underneath the house. So what I'm going to have to do is go down and with my Sawzall cut that out. All right, so I'm going to pull this piece of lattice off. I kind of left this one unfinished, so there's no center support on here. You can see my sawdust that came down, so the beam is basically right up under here. So let me get this pulled off. I'm underneath the house now. You can see where my hole saw was coming through. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Sawzall and I'm just going to notch this front board, and then the back board I will just have to kind of dig out so that the pipe fits through there. Whew. Okay, so I got that notched out, and you can see there. So that should be more than enough clearance for this pipe to come down through. And I didn't want to go all the way through this because this is like, you know, there's the outside of the house siding and everything is attached to that. So I think we're good. All right, back on the inside, you can see the hole there for the drain line. I got a couple pieces cut. So I'm gonna go ahead and feed that down and then connect these. So if you're doing plumbing like this, you're going to cut all your pieces and dry fit everything before you glue anything together. That way you can make sure everything is the right lengths and where you want them to be. And then once you dry fit everything, you go back and then you cement everything. And you want to do that kind of step by step too, following the pipe. So cement, 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 cement. And you want to make sure that you go through so that you don't miss one. Okay, so I measured the washing machine and it's roughly about 39 inches tall. So I marked the 39 on the beam here, and that's about where I want the bottom of the box to be. Maybe an inch or so lower than that, inch to 2 inches. But I put that reference mark on there so I know where to mount the box. Once I get the box mounted, then I can cut the drain pipe that goes from the P-trap up to the box. And now it's going to be time to start to tear some more of this wall out, because I have to be able to get up here and drill a hole for the vent pipe to go through behind the wall. Okay. Sorry for the low light. I am up in my attic crawl space and there's not much room here, so this is basically where I drilled the hole through for the vent. So you can see I had to move. This electrical wire was actually attached on the wall, if you can see how it runs down there. Sorry if it's blurry, because it went right across here, and then that's where I had to cut up. So see down there, which it won't focus. So that's where my vent tube is going to come out at. All right, so I'm back downstairs and there's my vent going up. All right, so I have all my plumbing. I have the air vent installed going up into the crawl space inside the roof. I have my sanitary tee, my P-trap, and then the drain going down below the floor. All right, guys, it is now day 3. Actually putting in that vent pipe is what I just did. So I just have so many other little projects going on. I get distracted, do other stuff. Right now though, I'm gonna go ahead and end this video. And then this will be part 1, and then I'll have part 2 and maybe part 3. It just depends on how long these videos run. I don't like keeping them or making them too long. And I know we're probably well over 20 minutes now, so I'm gonna go ahead and end this video. I'm gonna continue working and continue filming, and then that will just be on part 2. So I just wanted to say thanks guys for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and like, and I will see you in part 2. Aloha.